Hey guys, welcome back to The Upside, the show where we go deep with founders and investors shaping the future of emerging markets. I'm Tej Kenel Okafor, and today's guest is a fintech founder who's built one of the most profitable and widely used financial platforms in Africa. Tosin Eniolorunda, the co-founder and CEO of Moniepoint, the African payments unicorn powering over 1 million businesses across Nigeria. If you spend time in the market stores, bus parks, or roadside shops in Nigeria, you see Moniepoint in action, offering payments, credit, accounts, and tools that serve both small businesses and individuals. And now he's going global, MonieWorld, tackling UK and Nigeria remittances and betting big on cross-border financial infrastructure. In this episode, we unpack why Moniepoint is going after remittances and how they plan to differentiate in a crowded space. Now let's get to it. Tosin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Stage. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here.
Yes.
I think I remember when we had our chat in January. That was after the visas investment, right? And one of the purpose of the investment, I think you mentioned at the time, was to integrate with Visa Direct, right, for remittances and money transfers. And what made now the right time for MoneyPoint to enter into the remittance space and start with the UK Nigeria corridor?
Yeah. I mean, our mission to help businesses and consumers to find financial happiness by offering easy to use, affordable products that is distributed into prior harder to reach places still continues. We've done this in Nigeria and we're continuing to do it in Nigeria, where we now offer payment, credit, software, and debit card, credit card services for our businesses. And we're also doing the same for our consumers. And we figured that to complete the cycle, we should also offer this same set of services to our markets, but in the diaspora. And what this helps is that the same set of reliable infrastructure, the same set of easy to use interfaces, the same set of applications that we have can be repurposed and given to customers that are not in the country. And it sounds like a very good opportunity. So we're not actually just trying to be a remittance app. We're actually trying to do proper diaspora and banking.
For
And,
diaspora.
and immigrants specifically have specific problems. They have some specific problems that are specific to immigrants. And you could say that in the first few years of their life, they struggle. But as they find their feet, they are still connected to home and they have some specific needs that are also underserved. And these are some of the opportunities that we have found and directly continues with our theme. And our goal is to say every country that Moniepoint operates in locally, we will connect immigrants or emigrants of those countries in the diaspora. We'll connect them back home. And we're starting with Nigeria and the UK. Of course, we'll add other corridors, including aside the UK, and also add other destinations aside Nigeria.
So that means, like, I think there are rumors that Moniepoint to expand to Kenya, for instance.
Yes, exactly. We will also connect Kenyans to the UK, connect Tanzanians to the UK.
So is this more of Moniepoint trying to acquire a new customer base abroad or deepening services for Africans at home? Because you mentioned when people move abroad, they need financial services, right? And I'm just trying to understand if, it's like killing two birds with a stone, right?
Literally, yeah. That's what it is. It's deepening services for those back home because by being able to operate in other corridors, we can connect those back home to also those corridors outward. But it's also offering services to those that are not at home but abroad by connecting them back home. So it's like you already have one part of the pie. You already have operations, deep operations in the destinations. Easy to offer those set of services to people that want those same services but are not actually at home. So that's exactly what the goal is.
Is that one of the reasons why the investment from Visa was important?
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of the theses that Visa saw in Moniepoint and is underwriting.
Okay. How does MonieWorld integrate with MoneyPoint's existing ecosystem of services, right? So from merchant and personal banking to credit and payment.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, like I said, the goal is to offer the same set of services that we offer back home to our customers in the diaspora. That's our goal. And we since we already have all these capabilities, we already know we already know how to offer it back home. It is how to offer it to people that are not home but are connected to home. So It's not like we need to rebuild everything from scratch. We already have some of these services already. It's about retooling them through partnerships so that people in the diaspora can also have access to these services.
But that would mean like MonieWorld going head to head with, you know, fintech platforms in the UK that this migrants already use. So I'm getting like, the Revolut or the Monzos. Right? So, is that not a tough battle to fight? From what you've said, you want to broaden from remittance to other financial products for this, you know, migrants.
Yeah, it's absolutely a tough product to fight, but we want to differentiate by being specifically for people who want to be connected back home. That's our differentiation. You want to be connected back home. And if you are abroad, you want to be connected back home. Of course, some of the things you want to do is to send money back home. When you travel home, you want to be able to use that application to do what you need to do. You probably want to be able to get some facilities if you need. There are many things that immigrants need. I don't really need to publicly reveal, but there are.
It's like the pipeline of products that you get back
Exactly.
to.
So, and these are things that, Revolut is a great platform. Moz is a great platform. There are digital banks for people that are based out, people did abroad digital banks that also help people that travel around quite a bit and also great for immigrants, to be quite frank. But beyond that, the goal is to deepen beyond just pure remittances of being able to send and exchange currencies. What immigrants needs to be able to do to be connected back home. That's the way we're thinking about it.
So I'm not trying to pry into, you know, future offers that you guys plan to provide. What you just said reminded me of. So there's this startup called Zolve in the US.
Spell
Is
it,
that
please.
sorry?
What's the spelling?
So Zolve. So like solve, but with a Z.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, got it.
So what they do is help you build your credit in the US. So I think they started from India and now they touch other um immigrants right in the US. So maybe Asian to African to other immigrants. And so essentially you start with a credit card, then you go to the US, you build your credit history. I think you can connect it back home. And it just reminded me that okay, this could be like some kind of offering that, aside from remittance,
Mhm.
right, that a product like MonieWorld could go into, for instance, in the UK or other, set destinations like the US or Canada. Am I wrong? Or is it
Yes, these are examples actually. What you just mentioned is one of the things that popped up in the user interviews that we have done so far. It's a common immigrant goal. You settle into a new country, you need to build a credit history. A lot of in more advanced economies, a lot of things are based on credit, unlike Nigeria, where it's based on cash and carry. And people are trying to figure out and find their foot. And if they can find a platform that kind of understands their scenario and helps them build their credit, it's absolutely going to be great for them.
interesting? So, but like you're just centering on remittances for now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the least common denominator. There are lots of players already in the remittance space. Certainly
I'm
the
glad you
most,
mentioned.
yeah, lots of players there and good players too. We're cognizant of that. We're respectful of the good work a lot of people have done already, and we love to contribute.
So how is Money World contributing to that? Because I know I checked the site and I know the first thing I noticed was it was cheaper than the comparable platforms, right? So I think Lemfire was there, Nala, TapTap, and Zeps. Right. I mean, obviously, like I didn't go ahead to check their individual prices, but just seeing that on MoneyWorld's website, it's like, okay, is that the moat? We're cheaper than these guys.
I mean, we don't. I certainly don't consider pricing a moat.
Okay.
It is zero. That's like race to the bottom, and we're
Exactly.
not going to race to the bottom. But because we already have an existing platform and we already have achieved economies of scale in many places, it means that we can afford to be able to not price or to be able to take some what's it called to be able to take um some expectations of to be able to be cheaper for our customers. Let me just put it that way because we have economies of scale back home. cost of funding, transactions processing rails, existing technology. So this kind of allow us to be able to offer better services in form of better pricing to some of our customers. But certainly pricing is not a moat for us. We're not trying to say we're here to, be the cheapest. That's not what we're trying to be.
Okay. So what is the moat then?
What's the moat?
Yeah, like what's the motive
I
is not
expect
pricing?
me to reveal that on the call.
I mean, I'm trying to get out. But yeah, I mean, okay, I understand what you're saying, right? And I want to infer that the moat is probably the other products that are in the pipeline, all right, that you guys are working on. Because I think when people hear about, by the way, how did MonieWorld come about? Just before I go into other questions, so like the idea behind the name.
Oh, MonieWorld. I mean, we already operate Moniepoint, which is local solutions offering payments, banking services for people. And MonieWorld is essentially a worldview of the Moniepoint product that we have back home to people in the rest of the world. So that's why it's MonieWorld. It's literally the same MONIE.
Yeah,
Exactly.
fair
Exactly. So
enough.
that's how it came. Is it good? What do you think? Is it a good name?
It's a good name. I mean, I definitely prefer MoniePoint. I feel like maybe the remittance or the other app could have done with another name that is not money attached.
Yeah, money attached.
But since it's MonieWorld, it's fine. Like I feel like over time people get used to the name regardless, right? So I think I remember when Team Up tried to MoneyPoint. It took a while, but now MoneyPoint sounds cool. So and the names are tricky, right? You don't want a name like that gets you into legal waters with every yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just yeah, going back to what I wanted to ask was just about the whole price and the product pipeline. So for first time users that are used to the likes of, Lemfly, Nala, etc., how do you build trust among them? Or are you targeting a new set of customer base that don't use those platforms? Because from my understanding, it feels like that market, just the African or Nigerian immigrants in the UK, right? I want to send money back home already use these platforms. Right? So it's like, why do I need to leave there to go to MoneyWorld? Or is MoneyWorld trying to target those that are living for the first time and don't have options?
Right. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We um so how did we land on it? I think I've mentioned it earlier. We are it's part of our thesis, it's part of our mission. Our mission is to help people find financial happiness. We are doing it back home already. We are giving people access to banking, payments, credit, software services as consumers and as businesses. And we also realize that a growing population of people are also emigrating abroad, and we would love to extend those services to them. That's the reason. That's the major reason we're offering this. We are cognizant that there are great platforms like Lempi and Nala already existing. We respect the work they've done, and they are really great competition. We hope to have a differentiated offering for our customers and go generally deeper for our customers. But it's and we hope that the sky is going to be big enough for everybody to be able to make goal and make traction. I don't expect these existing names to do worse from what they're doing right now. I expect them to also continue to grow. Money Money World will also find its own feet and also continue to thrive also.
I definitely agree with you. Like, I think the pie is big for everyone.
Yeah.
There is, I think it was in 2023, about $20 billion moved into Nigeria in remittance inflow. I think 20 to 40, if I can remember correctly. These players just have a size of that, a chunk of that, just a small part of that. And I feel, MoneyWorld and other players that might join in the future will broaden the pie, right? But also, I think it's like, we mentioned earlier, price is like a race to the bottom. Like if you're cheaper or whatever, everyone is trying to crash prices and rates. How do you see, would I say consolidation playing out in this space in terms of like, do you think people get like merged together or get acquired? Last year, for instance, Zebs mentioned that they were looking to, you know, acquire some smaller remittance players, right? So how do you see the market playing out eventually?
I think it's a typical playbook that happened in fintech, in products. There's an initial enthusiasm that happens. A lot of players rush into a product. There are few winners. The others either get consolidated, bought, or die out. And this is essentially even more important in remittance, where it's hard to be profitable without getting to scale. It's hard to be profitable without getting to scale. So I certainly expect that in next coming years, players will die out, and some will simply uh, remain as zombies.
For me, that's most of the startup world. Yeah.
Exactly. Because they'll remain as zombies. So that's what I certainly expect to happen. And it's not going to be any different for the remittance space. It's also generally getting difficult to raise for more startups. Um, it's really tough. Even great companies are finding it hard to raise. So absolutely, yeah, that's what I expect.
So when Moniepoint was raising like the currency, was this a proposition that was pitched to investors? Like, I mean, obviously, I can sense investor interest by the money they put in, right? What sort of questions did they ask in terms of going into the space and the competitiveness in it? Also, like, how do they kind of factor into how Moniepoint plans to scale it? So, like the likes of Visa and Google, right, coming on board.
Yeah, of course. I mean, getting into new markets is something that is top priority for Monopoint, and is also especially difficult based on the scale that we already have in Nigeria. And anything that's going to make a believable dent into a believable traction into another country is now especially even harder because of the relative traction that we have in Nigeria. So, but certainly expanding to more countries is something that every investor would be taking a look at because of the need to de-risk your operations in one single country. So certainly, this is one of the things that we expect that I expect our backers and shareholders have an expectation for. And of course, working out of out of the UK, MonieWorld is such a goal, and especially something that is not especially far away from what we do. We're not just expanding to another country because we want to expand to another country. We need to be cohesive in our solutions and our products to our customers. And that's why the same theme of offering payment services to help people find financial happiness is consistent among all the countries that we're operating in, and the same set of services that we offer. So that's what it is.
Interesting. I just wanted to ask, like, just in terms of the de-risking part you mentioned, right? Very important for businesses not to be heavily focused on one market, especially in Nigeria, where things can go in your favor one moment and the next is the opposite. So I know for the longest, money plans have been into Kenya, right? So with this platform, MonieWorld, I'm launching the UK Nigeria corridor. How is this like, the corridor expansion going to play out? Is it more MoneyPoint or MonieWorld rather going into the US and Canada to Nigeria corridor, or building out the MoneyPoint business in Kenya and adding it to the UK Kenya corridor, for instance?
I think it's both. MoneyPoint will continue to operate deeply. MoneyPoint is our deep play. MoneyWorld is our wide play. MoneyPoint is going to continue to go into markets and go deeply. I would tell you that we're working behind the scenes on that a lot. It's generally harder to do. MoneyWorld will also continue to add more corridors also. That's how we expect this to go.
So another question that came to mind is, for Money Point, I don't think you necessarily had to play catch up to other agency banking players at the time. Maybe, right, but there was kind of some let's say play for you guys to gain, the market share that you have now. So what I'm going to is, does it feel different with Money World, trying to play catch up?
Teach, I tell you a story.
Okay.
When we were starting MoneyPoint and we were thinking of agency banking, I sent my team to go out and check markets. They came back to me and said, "Man, this thing is everywhere." I was in 20.
19.
Yes. They came back to me and said, "Man, Tosin, this is everywhere. Like everywhere you go, this thing is everywhere." If it was almost like, you are starting really late. You need to be aware then that that market had OPay and had Paga then. That had Kudi, had other players then. And we were team ups building software solutions for banks. So, but I mean, it is true then that as at that time they were everywhere. But the market also expanded between now and then. And I think there's such a scenario also even in remittances. That it is true that there are lots of players everywhere, but there's also more to be done to either more customers that you can get or more services to offer them. So yes, it's certainly a market that has thriving players, but we think that we have a differentiated and unique offering that we can offer to our customers. Plus, it's also consistent with our goal, with our direction. It's value adding to the services that we offer back home. It is value adding to the services, and what we offer back home is also value adding to our customers abroad. Even if we did not do MonieWorld, we will need to also still offer FX services eventually to our customers back home. So it's a win-win.
I mean, that's a very good analogy. To be fair, I think if I remember correctly, it was pretty much a crowded space back then, the agency banking space. And you guys don't want to agree with that, meaning what it is. So seeing it playing out in remittance would be, I think you should write a book after that, like coming from behind or something. But anyways, I also wanted to ask about the regulatory, and licensing approvals, right? In Nigeria and the UK, right? In trying to do this. How is MoneyWorld and Moniepoint handling this?
Regulators want similar set of things. They want their monetary policies to be pushed. They want you to have great KYC and prevent money laundering. They want you to protect customers and consumers. They also want you to abide by some of the rules of the games, especially on risk management, because you are dealing with public funds or public infrastructure, and their responsibility is to protect the general public and advance the goal of the government. And these goals are the same in Nigeria and the UK and everywhere else in the world, at least directionally the same. So some of the learnings that we have learned in Nigeria are certainly playing out very well in how we're operating in the UK and how seriously we're taking KYC and AML, and how we have learned on how bad actors will generally will love to use your product or want to break into into applications. And we are kind of like quite pretty confident. We've learned a lot in Nigeria. I mean, started as a tech firm offering financial services. I quickly realized that risk management is a very important component. And we've certainly stepped up our risk management game in compliance, in internal controls. And this same maturity is what is translating to our operations also in the UK.
So specifically, like you talked about, you've learned a lot from Nigeria. What lessons, if you can highlight, from Moniepoint, SME, and personal banking is informing how you're building money?
In addition to offering great products to our customers and distributing it to them, we've learned to take that bad actors will love to use your platform also. As you're trying to onboard customers and get them to enjoy services, you also have people that are simultaneously trying to use the platform for nefarious reasons. The responsibility is on you as a player, as an operator, to ensure that your platform is not conducive or not usable for such. We learned that taking risk management seriously is a first class requirement in a financial service provider. Risk takes the form of, financial risks, compliance risks, information security risk, operational risk, all sorts of risk. These are all lessons that we have learned and we have all improved on.
Okay, thanks for that. One of two last questions. Moniepoint is like, one of the few profitable African unicorns, right? And the remittance space is, like you've mentioned or said, is one where profitability can be hard to come by, right? So what's, your approach to being capital efficient? Or what's going to be your approach in, this space? I'm not asking for trade secrets, obviously, but, for founders listening there or investors trying to buy founders, maybe in the remittance space or founders trying to build in that space, are there like some approaches they can, adopt from Moniepoint strategy to build
To be
in
honest,
the
the
space?
formula is simple and hard.
Simple and hard.
It is simple to say, it is hard to do. Simple thing to say is find a great product, which means that something that customers really find a way to distribute it to their hands and find as many customers as possible. Okay. So I said a great product will also obviously be some great set of services that are technologically possible to offer and is at the right time. So hence finding a great product requires timing for it to be at the right time. where customers need it and it's possible to be done, and then distributing it digitally through offline enterprise and building a network or a system for getting customers to hear and build your product, because there's no what's the value in having a product that nobody has heard about and then managing risk. So that's the simple thing to do. The hard thing to do is how do you build a great product? How do you have a system for consistently discovering what customer needs and passing it all the way down to execution and shipping it out at a very, very high quality consistently? And how do you afford the investments that will allow you to be able to do that while you're proving it out or you're trying to get to some sort of profitability? So the idea is simple, the execution of it is hard. I think that's the point.
What you just said, is probably what's applicable in every startup sphere, right? Ideas are hard, are easy to think about, but like implementing it is where the challenge is. But yeah, just like moving forward, and for MonieWorld, long term, how big do you think it can be in terms of volume and margin? And what, yeah, like, in terms of volume and margin to the Moniepoint business as a whole?
Yeah. So, like, what's the question? How big?
How like big are you envisioning MonieWorld to be?
Yeah, I mean, we have big dreams for MonieWorld. We already have a big base in Nigeria, and for anything to be remotely additive into that base, it needs to be large enough. So, and we certainly have $1 billion revenue goals for the MoneyPoint group. So, and MonieWorld has to be a contributor, a significant contributor for it to be worth our effort. Such dreams. So we have big dreams for MoneyWorld.
Great. Thanks for that. And just, a random question. In 5 years, this is probably just a question to ask, or it's not important to the story, but just like thinking about, where MoneyPoint is now, as a fintech unicorn, predominantly in Nigeria. You've grown your business so big in just one market. And with the addition of this and other corridors, in 5 years, what will MoneyPoint be that it isn't now?
I mean, for now, we just want to offer great products for our customers. We want to be able to distribute it, and we want to be able to manage our risks in doing so. I want to be a model organization inspiring thousands of people around the world. I want to create such. And of course, in doing that, you create a valuable entity, a valuable company. A valuable company will always have opportunities to advance its equity story, either in public markets, new investments. We just have our fingers crossed. But, all these options remain very open to you as long as you are a valuable, growing, thriving company that you will continue to have all these options open to you. And that's what we're simply focused on.
Thanks for that, Tosin. I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope you did too.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how big, you guys get, or, how the market reacts to your comment, I guess. So yeah, thanks for taking the time to do this. And this brings us to the end of today's episode of The Upside, where we talk to founders and investors across emerging markets. Don't forget to subscribe anywhere you get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere, and we'll see you next time.